During what was meant to be a peaceful escape, a couple becomes prey in a deadly game of survival against a monstrous predator, unlike anything they imagined. I'm Mr. Midnight Hollow, your chilling host. And you're about to hear that story in today's episode of Terrifying Encounters. If you're already part of our community, your support means the world to us. Each like, comment, and share helps uncover more stories like this, or subscribe to see what rises from the depths of darkness and unfolds before you. Now, let's begin. I've always known I was different, not in some poetic, misunderstood way. No, in a brutal, biological way. I'm not fully human, never was. My name is Noah Redfeather. I'm 30 years old. I work as a building inspector in Anchorage, Alaska. One of those guys who shows up in a reflective vest, clipboard in hand, pretending to care about structural integrity. It's a quiet life, decent pay. Most people I meet don't remember my name. That's exactly how I like it. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment near Spenard. Nothing fancy, but it's enough for me and my girlfriend, Rachel Bennett. She's a photographer, smart, adventurous, completely human. And she doesn't know what I am. I've kept my secret buried under years of carefully planned routines, isolation during full moons, and fake weekend trips to nowhere. We've been together for a year now. She talks about marriage sometimes, kids, a house in the suburbs. I nod, smile, lie. It's not that I don't love her. I do. Enough to lie through my teeth every single day to protect her. From me. A few weeks ago, Rachel suggested we take a trip. Let's go somewhere wild, she said. Her eyes lit up with that energy I fell for. Not a hotel or a resort, something remote. A cabin in the woods, maybe. We could hike, explore, take photos. I should have said no. I should have found an excuse, work, weather, anything. But something in me wanted to be normal, just for a while. So I agreed. We booked a secluded cabin just north of the Yukon border, deep in Canadian wilderness, middle of nowhere. No cell service, no neighbors for miles. Perfect for what she wanted, dangerous for what I am. I convinced myself it'd be safe. I timed it wrong. The night we packed, I noticed the moon schedule printed on a calendar above my desk. A dull chill crept into my spine. Full moon, our 3rd night out. I considered canceling the trip, but Rachel was already buzzing with excitement. She had her bags packed, cameras charged, even bought thermal gear. She'd been waiting for this escape. So I lied again. It's just the moon, I whispered to myself as I zipped up my bag. I can handle one night. We arrived 2 days ago. The drive was long, over 20 hours total from Anchorage, cutting through rugged landscapes, snow-lined highways, and dense forest roads. The air was crisp, pine-heavy, the kind of place that makes you forget people exist. The cabin was everything she wanted. Wooden, 2 stories, no internet, a wood stove, a view of the endless trees, silence. No other humans within 30 miles, just us and the wilderness. During the day, we hiked. Rachel took hundreds of photos, owls, bare trees, frozen rivers. Her eyes sparkled with every step. I followed, smiled, pretended to be present, but inside I was tracking the sun's descent with unease. Last night, the 2nd night, I felt the ache in my bones, the early signs. I excused myself, said I had a headache, and locked myself in the basement. I paced, growled, fought the change. I managed to hold it back. Barely. Today is our last hike before we head home tomorrow. Rachel wanted to explore a trail she found in an old hiking guidebook, something called Fox Ridge Path, about 6 miles round trip. I checked the time. If we left early and returned by afternoon, we'd be fine. I didn't factor in her endless photography stops, the winding path, the slow terrain, By the time we realized we were late, the sun was already dying behind the trees. We turned back in a rush, our boots crunching through snow. The temperature dropped fast, probably somewhere around 20 degrees. Rachel's hands were trembling as she shoved her camera into her pack. The forest looked different now, less alive, more watching. At about 2 miles from the cabin, I caught the scent. Blood, fur, movement. I grabbed Rachel's wrist. "We need to move now." She looked at me, confused. "What is it?" "Just trust me, we're not alone out here." She saw it in my eyes. The panic, the urgency. She didn't ask again. We picked up the pace, running where we could. The trail was narrow, flanked by towering evergreens. The wind carried low growls, not close, not yet, but coming. Then I saw them. Eyes, dozens of them, pale green, glowing through the branches. Shadows moved along the tree line, massive forms gliding through snow. Wolves, but not normal ones. These were bigger, easily 170 pounds or more. At least 7 feet long, their fur thick and dark with the weight of the cold. The kind of predator that doesn't fear man. I recognized the breed instantly. Mackenzie Valley wolves, apex predators of the north. And they weren't hunting deer tonight. Rachel froze. "There's too many," I whispered. "Go. Run to the cabin." She hesitated. "Noah! Now!" She turned and ran. I stepped forward, pulling off my jacket. My muscles pulsed, bones beginning to shift. The pain came in waves. Snapping joints, splitting skin. My human voice drowned beneath the howl inside. As I transformed, I could feel their eyes shift to me, curious, challenged. I roared and leapt toward the first one. I didn't hear Rachel scream. I didn't see which wolves chased her. All I saw was teeth, fur, and snow turning red. Rachel didn't stop running. I could hear her footsteps fading into the distance as I tore into the first wolf with claws thicker than her wrists. It wasn't just a fight. It was slaughter. Blood hit the snow in dark arcs. The wolves moved like smoke, fast and silent, flanking from all sides. I tore through muscle and bone, but there were too many. 3 down, 5 more closing in, 10 behind the trees. My chest burned. A gash opened across my ribs. I couldn't kill them all. I needed to make them chase me. But their hunger wasn't for me. It was for her. I howled in rage, a sound that shook the trees, then broke into a dead sprint through the woods, following the scent trail Rachel left behind. I didn't care how loud I was. I didn't care how much blood I left behind. If they caught her, there'd be nothing left to save. I crashed through the forest, my body a blur of speed and fury. I could smell them ahead. Some of the wolves had broken off, chasing her, clever enough to take the path of least resistance. I leapt over a fallen log, twisted through the narrow trail, snow exploding beneath my feet. Then I saw her light. A small beam from her flashlight danced wildly between the trees, barely cutting through the blackness. She was maybe half a mile ahead, panting, limping. She'd twisted something, her ankle or knee. She didn't stop, but she was slowing down. And they were gaining. 3 wolves emerged behind her, silent and methodical. Their breath steamed in the cold. Their eyes locked on her like she was already dead. I launched myself forward, rage igniting every muscle. I hit the first wolf mid-stride, slamming it into a tree with a crunch that echoed. The second lunged at me, but I caught its throat in my jaws and crushed it. The third bit deep into my leg before I drove my claws through its skull. Rachel screamed as I landed between her and the rest. She didn't recognize me, not in this form. She stumbled backward, tripping over a root. "No, no, no!" she cried, thinking I was just another beast. The moment of confusion cost us. A new wave of wolves emerged from the darkness, bigger, faster. They fanned out, trying to flank me. I planted myself in the snow, ready to kill or die trying. "Run!" I growled, my voice twisted and guttural. Rachel didn't move. I said, "Run!" Finally, she turned and limped toward the cabin, sobbing. I turned back to the wolves. There were too many. They rushed me at once. Teeth sank into my shoulder. Another tore into my thigh. I lashed out, ripping one off, slamming another into the snow. One latched onto my back and didn't let go until I rolled and crushed it. Claws shredded my chest. My vision blurred. I was dying. But I didn't stop. Every second I held them off gave Rachel a better chance. Blood poured from me, steaming against the snow, my breath ragged, my movements slowing. But I kept swinging, kept tearing, kept killing. Then they hesitated. I looked up and saw only two left, one missing an eye, the other limping. They circled me slowly, uncertain. I bared my teeth and roared again. They fled. I stumbled forward, every step a scream of pain. My skin began to rip back, bones shifting again as the transformation reversed without my control. I collapsed halfway to the cabin. My naked body hit the snow, broken and bleeding. The porch light flicked on. I saw Rachel's silhouette in the window. She gasped. Then she ran outside, barefoot, screaming my name. "Noah!" She dropped beside me, tears streaming, hands shaking as she tried to stop the bleeding. "Oh my God! What happened? What are you?" I couldn't answer. My lips trembled, voice shattered by pain and exhaustion. I looked into her eyes and tried to speak. I'm sorry." She pressed her hands to my chest, trying to keep me alive. "You're gonna be okay," she whispered. "Just stay with me, please." Darkness took me. But just before it did, I heard something behind the trees. Branches snapping. Footsteps, heavier than wolves. Something else was coming, and it wasn't done with us yet. I woke to pain. My skin was raw. My ribs felt shattered. My leg was soaked in blood, and my vision was a blur of light and shadow. The warmth pressing against my face wasn't snow. It was a blanket. Thin, probably one of the ones from the cabin. Rachel had dragged me inside. The wood stove flickered in the corner. The door was barricaded with a dresser. Rachel sat on the floor, clutching a hunting rifle that must have been left by the cabin's last occupant. Her eyes were red from crying, but she was focused, waiting, listening. When she noticed I was awake, she crawled over and fell to her knees beside me. "Oh my God, you're alive," she whispered. I thought you were dying." "I still might," I muttered. My voice was barely a rasp. She stared at me. "What the hell are you, Noah?" There was no more hiding. "I'm not human," I said. "Not fully. I was born like this. I don't change because of a curse or a bite. It's in my blood, my family." I stopped, gritting my teeth as a wave of pain rolled over me. "We've always been like this. It's why I never told you. Why I disappear during full moons." She looked at the claw marks across my torso. "So, you're a werewolf?" "Yes." She didn't scream. She didn't run. She sat back and stared at the fire. "They were wolves," she said. "Real ones. But massive. They were hunting us." "Mackenzie Valley wolves," I said. "They're the largest natural wolf species in North America. But this wasn't natural." "What do you mean?" "I've faced them before, but not like this. They weren't hunting for food. They moved like they were following orders, like they had a purpose." Rachel's hand trembled on the rifle. "So, what? We're part of some nature documentary gone wrong?" "No," I said. "This is something worse." The wind howled outside. Snow battered the windows. The cabin groaned under the pressure. Rachel stood and checked the barricade again. "They'll come back, won't they?" "Probably," I said. "But something else is coming too." She turned. "What do you mean?" "Before I passed out, I heard something in the woods, bigger, slower. I could feel it. Whatever it wasn't with the wolves. And it wasn't natural either." Rachel went pale. "I don't want to die out here, Noah." "We won't," I said, though I didn't believe it. She helped me sit up. I screamed as the pain tore through my chest. My skin still held the torn remnants of the transformation. Bones half-healed, muscles shredded. I wouldn't survive another shift. Not tonight. Rachel brought me water, some crackers she found in the cupboard, and one of the old winter coats to wrap around my body. My hands were shaking as I drank. I had maybe a few hours of strength left in me. "Do you think we can make it back to the truck?" she asked. I shook my head. "It's 10 miles away, through snow, in the dark. So we're stuck here. We hold out till morning, then we move." A loud knock hit the wall. Not the door, the wall. Rachel froze. I reached for the rifle. The knock came again, slower, like something dragging its hand down the siding. She moved toward the window and peeked through the blinds. Her breath caught. "What is it?" I asked. Her voice was a whisper. "It's not a wolf." I forced myself to my feet, leaning hard on the wall. Every movement was agony. I limped to the window and looked out. At first, I saw nothing. Then I saw the shape, 8 feet tall, covered in pale fur. Its back was hunched, arms unnaturally long, its head tilted sideways like it was listening. It wasn't a bear, it wasn't a wolf. Its eyes glowed faintly orange, and its mouth was lined with teeth too long for its face. It wasn't an animal, it was something else. The creature moved slowly across the porch, its claw dragging along the wood. It sniffed the air. Then it looked straight at me. I stumbled back from the window. "It saw me," I said. "It knows we're in here." Rachel tightened her grip on the rifle. "Then, we make our stand." "No," I said. "If it breaks in, we're dead." "Then what?" "We set a trap." The silence was suffocating. Rachel moved through the cabin with deliberate precision, grabbing whatever she could use. Matches, a broken table leg, old kitchen knives. She pulled an oil lantern from a shelf and doused a set of rags, wrapping them tightly into makeshift torches. I leaned against the wall, breathing through gritted teeth. Every inhale burned. My muscles throbbed under the surface, still raw from the transformation. I couldn't shift again, not without tearing myself apart. I had to fight this next battle as a man. Rachel returned, crouched beside me, and placed a hunting knife in my hand. "You sure about this?" "No," I said, "but it's all we've got." She nodded. Her hands were still shaking, but her eyes were steady. There was something fierce in her now. Survival burned away the softness. The plan was simple. When the thing broke in, we'd light the torches, blind it, and use the smoke to force it back. If that didn't work, we'd go for the door. Make a break for it. Run to the old snowmobile in the shed. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. But staying in the cabin was a slow death. We waited. The air grew thick, heavy with dread. Every creak of the wood, every shift of the wind outside made our hearts jolt. Then we heard it again. This time it wasn't just claws dragging across the walls. It was breath. Loud, wet, close. It moved to the door, slowly, purposefully. Then something pressed against the frame. Not a knock, a push. Wood groaned. The hinges strained. Then it stopped. Silence. Rachel raised the rifle, her finger trembling on the trigger. I held my breath. Then the window exploded. Glass and snow burst inward as the creature's arm tore through the side window, long fingers curling into the room. Rachel screamed, fired. The rifle kicked. A hole opened in the beast's arm. Dark fluid splattered the floor. It howled, a guttural, inhuman wail, and pulled back. "Move!" I shouted. We lit the torches. Flames crackled, smoke curling up the ceiling. The creature backed away from the light, its silhouette retreating into the trees. "We need to go now," I said. "That thing's not alone." Rachel helped me to my feet. I limped to the back door. The snowmobile shed was only 20 yards away, but it might as well have been a mile in my condition. We stepped into the night. The cold punched us in the chest. The snow was deeper than we remembered. Our boots sank with every step. The trees loomed around us, and shadows shifted at the edge of the torchlight. We made it halfway to the shed before we heard them. Not the creature, the wolves. They were back. Shapes moved between the trees, fast, silent. A dozen of them, maybe more. Their eyes reflected the torchlight in flashes. They were surrounding us, herding us like prey. Rachel screamed as one lunged from the side. I turned just in time to slash at its face. The blade cut deep, but the wolf didn't stop. It clamped onto my arm and dragged me into the snow. I punched, kicked, screamed. Rachel fired again. The wolf let go, snarling, blood dripping from its muzzle. I staggered back to my feet, clutching my bleeding arm. Then the howling started, all around us. And then we saw them. 20, maybe 25 wolves, emerging from the darkness, huge, unnatural. Their eyes locked on us with intelligent malice. We were completely surrounded. Rachel raised the rifle again, click. Out of ammo. She looked at me. My legs were shaking. I was bleeding out. "We're not going to make it," she whispered. Then I stepped forward. "Yes, we are." I looked at her one last time. "Run to the shed. Don't stop. Don't look back." "Noah! Go!" I felt it starting again. My bones shifting, my spine cracking. The pain exploded behind my eyes. I embraced it. I let the wolf take me, not because I wanted to, because I had no choice. As the transformation completed, I turned to face them. 20 pairs of eyes narrowed on me, and I charged. The snow turned red. I ripped through the first wolf-like paper, my claws severing muscle and tendon, blood spraying across the drifts. The others surged forward in a wave of fur and fangs. I met them head-on, snarling, my mind hanging by a thread between beast and man. But the wolf inside me knew this fight. And it wanted to kill. One slammed into my side, knocking me into a tree. My ribs cracked. Another bit into my leg, dragging me down. I tore free and smashed its skull against a rock. Pain was everywhere. In my lungs, in my back, in my bones. But I didn't stop moving. Every bite I took, every claw I landed bought Rachel seconds. That's all this was now. Seconds. I couldn't see her. I hoped she'd made it to the shed. Hoped she'd found the keys. Hoped the machine still worked. The wolves were relentless. They weren't just animals. They moved with coordination. They circled, waited, attacked together. Something, or someone, was controlling them. It wasn't instinct. It was strategy. I killed 5 before they started to retreat. The remaining wolves stepped back, growling, circling me again. My body trembled. I was losing blood fast. My vision doubled. The world spun. Then I felt it again. That presence. Heavier than the wolves. Closer now. A shadow moved between the trees. Something massive, upright, watching. The wolves parted, and it stepped forward. 9 feet tall. Pale fur matted with old blood. Its arms reached below its knees, its chest covered in thick black scars. Its eyes were sunken and gleaming with unnatural hunger. A creature born of nightmares. Something older than the forest itself. The alpha, not just a wolf. Something worse. Its mouth opened slowly, revealing rows of human-like teeth, jagged and uneven. It didn't growl, it didn't roar. It just walked toward me, slow, deliberate. The wolves stayed back. This was between us. I roared and charged. We collided in a blur of fur and fury. Its claws raked across my chest, sending me crashing into a snowbank. I rolled, came up bleeding and struck back. My claws tore a line across its stomach. Black ichor oozed from the wound, not blood. It didn't flinch. It grabbed my head and slammed it into the ground. Once, twice. I felt the world dim. I managed to rake my claws across its arm and break free. I stumbled back, panting, my vision swimming. The creature tilted its head, curious. It was studying me, learning. And then it spoke, not with words, with thoughts. "You do not belong to them," I staggered. The voice wasn't a sound. It was inside my skull, vibrating through my bones. "You are ours. You were born of the dark. You should not protect them," I growled, shaking my head. "I am not yours," I snarled. The creature lunged. We collided again. I bit into its throat, tasted rot and ash. It screamed and threw me off. My body hit a boulder. Something broke inside me. I couldn't move. The alpha approached slowly, towering over me. It raised a clawed hand. And then, a roar filled the forest. Mechanical, Rachel. The snowmobile engine screamed through the trees. Headlights blasted through the darkness. The alpha turned just as she rammed it into its side. The impact launched the beast into the air, snapping a tree in half. The snowmobile skidded to a stop. Rachel jumped off, running toward me. "Noah," she cried, falling to her knees. "You came back," I whispered. "You didn't give me a choice," she said. "I wasn't leaving you." The alpha groaned and rose from the snow, bones cracking. It wasn't dead. Rachel raised the rifle again. "We need to go, now." I nodded weakly. Together, we limped toward the snowmobile, but behind us the wolves howled again. They weren't finished, not yet. We barely made it to the snowmobile. I collapsed behind Rachel, gripping her waist as she revved the engine. My blood smeared across her jacket. The machine groaned under our combined weight, but it held. The headlight cut through the trees, casting long shadows that twisted and moved as the wolves pursued us. She didn't ask where to go. Anywhere but here. We tore through the forest, carving a path through the snow. Branches whipped at us from both sides. Behind, I could hear them. Claws ripping across frozen ground, paws pounding the trail, getting closer with every second. I couldn't fight anymore. My body was done. Rachel was breathing hard, her eyes locked on the trail ahead. "Tell me when to turn," she yelled over the roar of the engine and the wind. "Follow the slope," I choked out. "It should lead down to the frozen river." "A river?" "It'll be flat. Faster, but slippery." She didn't hesitate. We hit the slope, the snowmobile skidding as it dropped. We landed hard on the frozen bank. The rear end fishtailed, but Rachel kept us upright. The ice beneath us was slick, reflecting the moonlight like glass. For a moment, everything was still, just the sound of the motor, the wind, and our breath. Then, from behind, a dozen wolves poured down the slope. I looked back and felt my stomach drop. They weren't running anymore, they were hunting. "Faster," I said. Rachel opened the throttle. The snowmobile screamed down the river, weaving around jagged ice formations. The wolves gained ground. They were faster than we were, lighter, more agile. Their shapes blurred in the moonlight. One leapt forward, its jaws snapping inches from my face. I threw my arm back and punched it, knocking it into the ice. Another flanked us, sprinting alongside. Rachel swerved, and it lost footing, tumbling into a snowbank. But more came. They weren't stopping. Up ahead, I saw a fallen tree spanning the river like a bridge. Narrow, dangerous. "To the left!" I shouted. Rachel turned just in time to avoid it. We skidded sideways, nearly tipping. I wrapped my arms tighter around her to keep us balanced. The wolves weren't so lucky. 2 of them slammed into the tree, bones crunching. Another hit the riverbank and vanished beneath the ice. 5 still chased. Then came the sound. The alpha. Its roar vibrated through the trees, shaking snow from the branches. Rachel looked back. "What the hell is that thing?" "Not a wolf," I said. "Not even close." It came over the ridge like a monster from a nightmare. Its eyes locked on us, and it dropped to all 4s, running with unnatural speed. Snow exploded behind it as it tore down the slope. Rachel didn't speak. She just drove. The river curved ahead, narrowing between 2 cliffs. I knew the place. It was a dead end. The cliffs pinched together into a gorge too steep to climb. We had less than a mile. "We can't outrun it," I said. "We have to trap it." "How?" "There's an old ranger tower past the gorge. If we can make it to the clearing, I can try to slow them down." "You're dying, Noah." "I know." She didn't argue. She just nodded and leaned forward. The wolves closed in. One lunged and caught the back of the snowmobile, nearly knocking us off. I twisted and stabbed the hunting knife into its shoulder. It shrieked and fell back, tripping another one behind it. 3 left. The cliffs loomed ahead. I could see the opening, the final stretch of river before the gorge. Trees parted. Snow fell in sheets. The old ranger tower was still there, barely standing, its metal frame leaning. "Almost there," I whispered. Rachel gritted her teeth and pushed the engine to its limit. We burst into the clearing. The snowmobile skidded to a halt near the base of the tower. Rachel jumped off, helping me down. Then we heard it. The alpha. It wasn't slowing down. It was coming for blood. The alpha emerged from the tree line like death incarnate. Snow clung to its fur. Its limbs rippled with power. Behind it, the last of the wolves circled the clearing, watching, waiting. Rachel helped me up the rusted ladder of the ranger tower. My hands were numb, and my side throbbed with every movement. Halfway up, I almost fell, but she grabbed my wrist and pulled me up with a strength I didn't know she had. The platform was small, just a railing and a rotted floor, creaking under our weight. There was nowhere else to go, no higher point, no weapons left, just us, above the snow, above the wolves. Rachel crouched beside me, breathless. "We're trapped." "We hold them off." Her eyes were wet. "We're going to die out here." I didn't answer. Below, the alpha stared up at us. Its head tilted, studying. Then it let out a low growl, and the wolves moved. Slowly, methodically. They began circling the tower's base, clawing at the ladder, snarling. The alpha remained still, waiting for the right moment. "I need you to listen," I said. Rachel turned to me. "If I change again, I won't come back." "No. I'm too weak. My body's breaking down. If I shift again, it'll kill me. But it might buy you enough time." She shook her head, tears sliding down her face. "I'm not leaving you. You have to." "I won't." The first wolf started climbing. Rachel raised the empty rifle like a bat. "I'm not letting them take you," she said. We heard the metal bending below us. The ladder shook as claws scratched upward. Then another joined it. Then another. The alpha still hadn't moved. My body trembled, not from fear, from the change forcing itself back through my skin. I was out of time. "I love you," I said and kissed her. Then I jumped. I landed hard, my legs nearly giving out. Pain exploded up my spine. The wolves lunged. I let the change tear through me. My scream became a growl, my bones shattering and reforming in midair. The beast rose again. I was no longer Noah, I was the wolf. The first attacker died instantly, its throat ripped out. The second bit deep into my side, but I rolled and crushed it beneath me. The others came fast. I lost track of the bodies, the claws, the blood. It was a blur of violence. Then the alpha joined the fight. It struck from the side, tackling me into the snow, its jaws around my shoulder. I screamed, bit back, tore at its face. My teeth broke against its bone. Its claws sank into my chest. We rolled across the snow, locked in a savage battle, each blow tearing flesh from bone. I felt my ribs collapse, felt my arm go limp, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. Rachel was watching from above. I couldn't let it get to her. The alpha pinned me, raised its claws. Then Rachel screamed. I looked up. The tower was collapsing. The base gave out. Metal groaned. The structure tipped. Rachel jumped, into the snow, into the night, as the whole tower crashed behind her. The alpha turned too late. She landed beside us, holding the flare gun she found inside the tower's remains. Blood on her face, glass in her hands. But her aim didn't shake. She fired. The flare hit the alpha square in the chest. It erupted in flames. The beast howled in agony, twisting in the snow, its fur igniting, its flesh blistering. The fire consumed it fast, faster than any natural fire should. It didn't scream like an animal. It screamed like something dying for the first time. The wolves ran, scattering into the trees. The alpha collapsed beside me, still burning. And then everything went quiet. Rachel fell to her knees. I lay beside the creature, its blood mingling with mine. My breath slowed. The transformation faded. I was just Noah again, but dying. She crawled to me, held my face. "You're going to be okay," she whispered. "I don't think so," I said. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Noah, stay with me, please don't go." My voice barely escaped. "I'd do it again." My eyes closed. Darkness pulled me under. But just before it took me, I heard one final thing. A distant howl, not the alpha. Something else. Something still alive, still hunting. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was smoke rising into the dawn sky. The fire had died out sometime during the night. The alpha's body was now just a scorched husk in the snow. Blackened bones curled like an insect beneath a magnifying glass. The scent of burned fur lingered thick in the air. Rachel sat beside me, her hand wrapped tightly in mine. Her face was swollen and bruised. Dried blood streaked down her neck, but her eyes were still sharp, still alive. "You made it," she whispered. "Barely," I croaked. The pain was unimaginable. My body had broken in more places than I could count. Every breath felt like glass in my lungs. But I was alive, somehow, and she was too. She leaned in and kissed my forehead. "They're gone," she said. I think we actually survived." I didn't speak. I couldn't. My throat was dry, cracked. But I nodded. She helped me sit up. The sun was low, casting long shadows over the snow. The clearing was quiet. Too quiet. No wind, no birds, no movement. We both knew better than to believe it was over. Rachel looked around. "We need help. A hospital. Something." "The radio," I whispered. "Ranger tower might still work." She nodded and crawled back toward the wreckage. The metal was still hot in places, warped and twisted, but she found what remained of the control box. Most of it was destroyed, except for the emergency beacon. She pressed the button. A red light blinked. A signal sent into the vast emptiness of the Yukon. Rachel returned to me. We sat in silence, listening to the wind, hoping someone out there would hear us. After a while, she asked, "What was that thing, really?" "The Alpha?" I said. "Something older than us. A mutation. Maybe something born from blood and cold and hatred." "Was it the only one?" I looked at the tree line. "No." She swallowed hard. "Will it come back?" "No," I said. "But something will." Hours passed. Eventually, we heard a chopper in the distance. Rachel stood and waved the flare gun. They saw us. The noise drew closer until the trees shook and snow blew across the clearing. A rescue team descended, park rangers and local EMTs. They looked at the carnage with wide eyes, speechless. Two of them carried me onto a stretcher. One asked Rachel what happened. "Wolves," she said simply. They didn't question her. No one ever believes the truth. I passed out again on the ride. When I woke up, I was in a hospital in Fairbanks. Tubes in my arms, monitors beeping, Rachel asleep in the chair next to me. They told me I'd lost a lot of blood. Several fractures, broken ribs, internal bleeding. But I'd live. Barely. Weeks passed. My wounds healed faster than they expected. Wolf blood. Rachel stayed by my side. Eventually, she asked the question I'd been dreading. "What now?" I looked out the window at the snowy city. Cars passed below. People walked with coffee cups and winter coats, unaware of the things that lived just beyond the edge of civilization. "I don't know," I said, "but I can't hide anymore." She nodded. "You don't have to." We didn't go back to the cabin, didn't retrieve our things. We left everything there, buried under snow and blood and things better forgotten. But sometimes, when the moon is high and the air is still, I feel something moving in the dark, watching, waiting. I killed the Alpha. But I wasn't the only one born of the blood, and the wild doesn't forgive what we've done. Not forever. I bleed because I love. But love won't be enough when they come again, and they will. Noah's desperate stand in the Yukon is a brutal reminder that love alone can't hold back the hunger of what lurks in the wild. The age of man and monster has shifted, and something far more ancient may have just awakened. If this story shook you, hit like. And tell us in the comments, would you survive a night in those woods? Share this video with someone who needs to know that not all predators walk on 4 legs, and some wear human faces by daylight. And if you've got the courage, subscribe to Mr. Midnight Horror and turn on the bell, so the next time the shadows move, you won't be alone in the dark.